Hello, friends. My name is host Eric, who's talking with famous people, and I've been watching so much anime lately that I thought I'd do an episode of Talking with Famous People in which I discuss my anime rankings of all the animes that I've watched, basically. There may be one or two things that I sort of looked at but didn't include on this list because I didn't see enough of it. But I want to start simply by talking about Demon Slayer KNY. Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. Um, this show is quite visually appealing, as you can see. Uh, and I'm only a couple episodes into it. I think I'm going to end up liking it a lot, but I don't know enough yet about it to rank it, so I just put it. See, I'm 2 episodes in. I just put it on number asterisk here. I have high hopes for it though. Okay, 19, Pokemon. I wanted to have 20 things, so I added Pokemon, which I've only ever watched in English dub. Mostly with my daughter as a kid. It's kind of amusing. You know, Team Rocket with their endless optimism is just the best thing about it probably. And Brock. But there's joy. I'm constantly re-astonished by your beauty again. Number 19, Monster Strike. It's something I've watched on Crunchyroll. Watched episodes of it. I've watched like 6 episodes of it. It's more or less for kids. Um, it's a it's an idea that like there's a video game on your phone that turns into real. It's like your Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon kind of a thing. All right, so let's go. It's visually it's fine if you care about visuals. It's nice looking, It's a nice looking cartoon, but it doesn't really stand out. Kind of textbook anime look. And you'll see that the stars don't necessarily line up with the order. In other words, there are some things that I ranked higher stars but lower in my rankings because I thought they were better, but not as I didn't really enjoy them as much. Regarding Zero is another one that's mostly for kids. It's it's a get transported to a fantasy world, but then when you die in that fantasy world, you are reborn, like you at a reset point, like as in a fantasy video game, and it's kind of meh looking. Like it doesn't really impress me with its appearance, I guess you'd say. Uh, everything seems kind of washed out, and it's kind of drawn for children. It feels like a little bit more. I don't know what that means exactly, but perhaps you can see this kind of washed out quality to it as compared to say Fire Force, which is just absolutely stunning looking. Mostly for kids, among this fantasy world MMORPG rules kind of anime, it's kind of yeah. But I do return to this joke occasionally and watch an episode when I'm feeling childish. I watched like 6 or 7 episodes of it. Boruto just started it, really, but um, it's the sequel to Naruto. I've watched enough episodes to put on the ranking, and it's it's kind of passive viewing for me because it's mostly an SI thing. I was so at some point invested in regular Naruto and Naruto Shippuden that Boruto is appealing in that regard, but it's basically the same characters, just now they're kids, and I don't know. Let's go look at Rise of the Shield Hero. This is like a better version of Regarding Zero. Um, Rise of the Shield Hero is another one where they get transported to another world. Except in Rise of the Shield Hero, is it on my list here? Or did I take it off after I finished it? Rising of Shield Hero here, right? Um, it's just generally better done. And the Shield hero is there's three other heroes who get transported, and he's the hero that he gets transported to a country where they hate that hero. So it's kind of an interesting narrative arc. It looks pretty good. I mean, I'm not visuals aren't necessarily. I don't think of them as being particularly important to me in in a in whether or not I like it, but it does matter some. And I notice it when the visuals are particularly good. I don't typically notice the visuals much when they're not particularly good. This one is medium, I would say. You know, it's kind of workmanlike, uh, but the storyline's pretty strong. So now let's go to 14. Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online, and you see I gave Rise of Shield here 3.3 stars and Sword Art Online 3.5 stars. It's a even better version of Shield Hero, which is a better version of Regarding Zero. Um, I did run out of gas before I ran out of episodes, which is to say, the Sword Art Online continued after the main arc of the story. So the first season of it is about Sword Art Online. The second season starts going into, if I remember correctly, starts going into yeah. So here's the first season. Sword Art Online 2 is not even where I'm at. I'm at Sword Art Online. No, I guess I'm on Sword Art Online 2. Yeah. I got through 21. I couldn't even get all the way through 24 on Sword Art Online 2. But Sword Art Online 1 is pretty damn good. So, I just combined the two, though, in my list here. They get stuck in this game where it's like a virtual game, but they have these devices that the guy who invented the game, he only made 10,000 copies of it, and once you logged in, you couldn't log out, or else you died. And so they have all these people like put in the hospital beds with their game thing on, and they're not going to be able to get out until they beat the game. Anyway, it's pretty damn good, the first one, or the first season of it. Ace the Diamond. This is a worse version of Haikyuu, which is higher up on the list, but not much worse. They're both very similar in approach and story arc to different sports. However, again, I started watching other stuff before I finished Ace the Diamond. Um, they finally made nationals, but they're trying to make nationals, but they haven't even played a game of nationals yet, and I still am like, okay, I gotta take a break from Ace of the Diamond. I watched a bunch of episodes of it. And Ace of the Diamond is it suffers from something that a lot of anime suffers from, namely as it gets deeper into its storyline and starts including more characters, it feels this compelling need to every single pitch for every single pitch they've got to have 10 different people's perspectives on it, you know? Like, oh my god, this pitch is so important, and oh my god, um, I so he's pitching here, right? Oh, the air's nice at the stadium. He's about to pitch. He's got good balance, this guy says, right? And somebody in the dugout says something. Oh, well, this is like the beginning. But this is the textbook way this show works is it's like, you know, one pitch, he'll say something, and then they'll go through 6 different people's perspectives before he actually finishes throwing the pitch. And it takes longer than an actual baseball game to get through a single baseball game. It takes like 6 episodes or something. So it gets a little bit tiresome after a while. But it's a pretty good show. Now, Nobility. I'm liking this a lot so far. 13 episodes in, watching it weekly. I'm out of episodes. It's a show where there's a race of fancy people called nobles who have powers that human beings don't have, you know. And and I would say it's one of the more visually appealing ones that I've seen recently. Let me find it here. It can be, it's more well drawn than the average one, you might say. You know, it's on the higher end of visual looks. And personally, for me, I like things that have a lot of contrast to them. Um, but this perhaps isn't the best example of it. It's got this washed out quality that I don't like in general, visually. Maybe some previous episode would be a better example. But regardless, it's got a cool look to it. You know, that's a pretty cool image right there. So I like Nobilis. It's a good storyline, and they did a nice job of resolving in episode 13, which, despite the fact that it says I haven't watched it, I have watched it. Uh, of resolving at the end of a season. So they leave you satisfactorily at the end of a season, at the end of this episode, which I appreciate, but also still waiting for the next season. Haikyuu is volleyball's best ambassador. I'm fully invested. I watch it weekly. Um, I've learned a lot about volleyball watching it as well. I had no idea volleyball was so complicated, and I gotta say, I'm impressed with the sort of depth of knowledge that goes into the making of this show. I like the characters a lot. It's visually fine. It doesn't really stand out, but it seems to do a better job of managing the number of perspectives that it offers the viewer during while this red-haired kid's up in the air about to smash the ball. Unlike Ace of the Diamond, we don't have necessarily 10 different perspectives of people before he actually hits it being revealed to us. Maybe just 3 or 4. So it's like, it does a better job of managing that thing. Death Note. I think this is generally an overrated show. I nevertheless agree that it has sufficient distinction and pop to make it number 10. It was just like the last 6 episodes or so where it kind of went to shit. But at least it had a satisfying completeness to it. If you haven't seen Death Note, it's definitely conceptually very interesting. And for about 3/4 of it, I'd give it a 5. About 1/4 of it, I'd give it a 3. The last quarter of the show. It makes number 10 on my list here out of 20. Remember, this is not of all the animes that exist. These are basically all the animes I've watched. So I'm just ranking the ones I've watched. My Hero Academy is number 9. I liked it a lot. I want there to be new episodes. That was a lot of fun. Hunter x Hunter has more episodes than MHA, and it's similar in fun. I ranked it one higher because it gave me more total pleasure, I guess, given the fact that it's more episodes, even though it's slightly less of a good show. This is very poorly drawn in general, Hunter x Hunter. But that doesn't really bother me. Jujutsu Kaisen, only 1 season complete. That's why I put it at 7. If you only have 1 season complete, you're not going to get higher than that on this, okay? This one is about another sort of Demon Slayer show, but I really like it a lot, and I don't really know what else to say about it. I guess I should just read the description from Crunchyroll. Huh? Midori Yuchi is a boy with tremendous physical strength, though he lives a completely ordinary high school life. One day he has to save a classmate who's been attacked by curses, and he eats the finger of Sukuna, taking the curse into his soul. From then on, he shares one body with Sukuna, guided by the most powerful sorcerers. Midori is admitted to Tokyo Metropolitan Jiu-Jitsu High School and an organization that fights curses, and thus begins the heroic tale of a boy who became a curse to exercise a curse, a life from which he could never turn back. So the thing is, I get some of these a little confused in my head, but there's this other show that has the Catholic thing going on. This one is not the one that has the Catholic thing going on. So Black Clover, I put 4.5. It's got a lot of episodes, and it's just gotten better and better as I've gone through it. At first, it barely kept me watching it. I didn't like the main character, and but it's gotten better. It's gotten more funny, and just it's more satisfying. They've become better at what they do, the Black Clover people, and I really like that show. Naruto Shippuden is of equivalent quality, I would say, to Black Clover, and kind of similar general kind of vibe, but Naruto Shippuden has got more of a large scale story arc, maybe a little bit less candy, a little bit more main course, but I like them equally well. World Trigger, I'm out of episodes now. I absolutely love this show. I absolutely love it, and it's one of the least visually appealing shows I've seen in a while. I mean, it's better than Hunter x Hunter, which is like the worst, but there's nothing about it that especially makes it pop, except I really like the main character, who's a Japanese INTP. I really like Kuga Yuma. I really like the girl character on the main team. I really like the show. I love the politics within the thing. They're very smart about not having too many flashbacks. It's one of the most successful flashback managing shows I've seen. I highly recommend World Trigger. It's great. I love it. Blue Exorcist. Absolutely love this show. Out of episodes. Hoping they come up with another season. This is one of the more visually appealing shows I've seen. This is one of the two most visually appealing shows I've ever seen on anime wise. Well, three. One of the three most visually appealing. So this one, which is I'm talking about, is Blue Exorcist. This show looks great. It always looks great. And it's got this Catholic thing going on. The Japanese relationship with Catholicism and Western religions is really interesting. It doesn't necessarily look that great in these particular spots I'm picking here, but across the board, I just like the way this show looks. Oops. And when they start fighting anyway, I like the way the fights look. Don't fret. I'm lightheaded from blood loss, that's all. Anyway, that was not good examples here of Blue Exorcist looking great, but I love this show, and it's fantastic. Number 2, Attack on Titan. Love this show, out of episodes. The thing about Attack on Titan, also one of the most visually stunning of all the shows. In fact, if you were to say this is the most visually stunning of all the shows, I wouldn't argue with you, in part because if you've not seen Attack on Titan, if there's any show that probably people have recommended to you, it might be Attack on Titan. It's rather a famous show, but one of the things that makes it so interesting is the appearance of it. The look of the Titans is it's frightening. They're weird looking things, like this, and you see him running and stuff. It's crazy looking, and you get lots of big perspective stuff here too. This is about primarily Westerners, as perceived by. It's a metaphor for World War II or an allegory or something. Marley represents Marley represents Nazi Germany, and the Eledians represent the Jews. Okay, so now it's a great show. The last season is out right now, and I'm watching it week to week, and Delilah is too, and Delilah and Rachel want to talk about it, and it's great. But the best show I've ever seen is Fire Force. Fire Force is absolutely spectacular. It's the best anime I've seen. The visuals of it are the best, and it, unlike just about every other anime I've ever seen, Fire Force manages to be hilarious while being action packed concurrently. I've never seen. The thing is, I don't expect much from anime in terms of humor, but you can see how much nicer this looks than everything else that I've shown you. Probably, it's visually just wow. You can see all the colors pop. I want to see where they're all in their blue coats, you know. With having fire as a central thing, they obviously have access to lots of dramatically contrasting colors and stuff, and they take full advantage of it. But PG-13 and perfect, as perfect as an anime show as I can possibly imagine. It compelled me to write a song about it. It was just like I have to express my love of this television show because it's so great. Now I've read that they're not even sure if they're going to do a third season. How sucky is that? Alright, well, I'm going to play this Fire Force song that I made. Let me change the settings to, you know.
人の死因にもいろいろある。
They were once human too, free of fire like me and you. Then a light within ignites. If hell's on top and heaven's the bottom, return to the flame. If hell's on top and heaven's the bottom, return to the flame. If hell's on top and heaven's the bottom, return to the flame. If hell's on top and heaven's the bottom, return to the flame. Alright everybody, thanks for watching and live.